Hey yo, what's good, people? It's your boy reporting straight from the 2000s. By the late 2000s, sneaker culture was shifting fast. The game was getting quicker, the fits were getting cleaner, and players wanted shoes that actually looked like they belonged in a new decade. But a lot of the brands didn't get the memo. Instead of evolving, they kept dropping designs that felt stuck between eras. Bulky builds, confused hybrids, overseas experiments, and signatures that completely lost their identity. So in part 3, we're breaking down the late 2000s disasters. The last wave of ugly, awkward silhouettes before the 2010s reset the entire sneaker game. So let's get into it. When the LeBron V dropped and hit the court, the world already knew who LeBron James was becoming. He was a freight train with a crossover, a walk-in highlight, a kid from Akron carrying an entire franchise on his shoulders before he could legally rent a car. His game was evolving fast and sneaker culture was evolving with him. Lighter silhouettes, cleaner shapes, more modern lines. But Nike, for whatever reason, decided to go in the opposite direction and build the LeBron V like it was meant for a medieval battlefield instead of NBA hardwood. The shoe looked and felt like a riot shield with laces. The upper was thick, padded, and unforgiving, like Nike was preparing Bron to play basketball in full body armor. Every panel felt oversized and overbuilt, and the straps made the whole thing look like it required a user manual. It was heavy in a way that made your feet tired just looking at it, and the shape didn't do LeBron's explosive style any favors. This was the moment the LeBron line leaned too far into the idea of power, forgetting that power still needs to move. The Nike Sharkley was one of those sneakers that made you stop and ask, what exactly were they trying to do here? Because it didn't feel like a single idea. It felt like several rejected ideas stitched together and sent to production out of pure stubbornness. This was Nike in the late 2000s, experimenting with hybrids, borrowing pieces from different models and mixing them into something that didn't land cleanly in any direction. The Sharkley wasn't sleek like a guard shoe. It wasn't stable like a big man shoe, and it wasn't stylish enough to even survive on the streets. It just existed loudly. The most confusing part was how aggressively the design clashed with itself. The upper had those cutout panels that looked like someone tried to carve ventilation holes with a box cutter. The midsole was chunky in a way that didn't match the rest of the shoe, and the straps felt like leftover ideas from old Nike models that didn't make the final cut. The shoe looked like it wanted to be a Team Jordan, but also wanted to be a mid-tier signature shoe at the same time, and ended up looking like neither. By 2009, the sneaker landscape was shifting hard, and a lot of American brands were either slowing down or recycling the same ideas. Overseas companies saw their opening, and Li-Ning was one of the first ones to make a serious push into the US market by signing Baron Davis. A smart move on paper. Baron was tough, crafty, explosive when he wanted to be, and had the kind of old school swagger that could have sold a signature line if the design was strong enough. But instead of giving him something bold or fresh, Li-Ning delivered a sneaker that felt like it was built using a generic template titled Basic Basketball Shoe Number 4. The shoe had that unmistakable international brand trying to break into America look. Simple, safe, almost strangely polite. There was no edge to it, no personality, no unique silhouette that showed confidence. It had the kind of upper you'd expect from a team shoe. Straightforward paneling, synthetic materials that creased instantly, and branding that sat there quietly like it didn't want to offend anybody. Baron Davis, the same guy who put fear into point guards, was lacing up something that felt like it was designed for a youth league travel team. And that's a technical foul, straight up. By the time the Wade Slash released in 2009, everybody could tell Dwayne Wade was outgrowing Converse faster than the brand could keep up. He had a Finals MVP, a gold medal, a superstar aura, and a growing legacy that demanded a real signature line, something polished, modern, and built with intention. Instead, Converse gave him the Slash, a sneaker that felt like a leftover idea from the early 2000s, dressed up and pushed onto shelves with a quiet, hopefully nobody notices type vibe. The Slash had that unmistakable mid-tier feel, not terrible, Not impressive, just there. The design leaned heavily on simple ideas and generic shaping, but it lacked the personality a Wade-branded shoe needed. This was a player known for fearless drives, creative finishing, and game-winning energy. Yet his shoe had no edge, no storytelling, and no sense of evolution. It looked like Converse wanted to reboot his line, but didn't have the resources, the vision, or the urgency to actually pull it off. Terrible. Allen Iverson's legacy in 2009 was also already cemented. He changed the culture, changed the league, and changed the entire identity of basketball fashion. From the braids to the arm sleeve to the swagger nobody could duplicate, his early Reebok line had heat, personality, and real impact. But by the time the Answer XIII arrived, it was clear Reebok was out of gas and out of ideas. The brand that once matched AI's energy step for step suddenly looked like it didn't understand him or the moment anymore. The Answer XIII didn't even feel like an Iverson shoe. It felt like a design Reebok already had sitting in a folder somewhere, and when it came time to deliver a new signature model, they slapped his name on it and hoped nostalgia would do the rest. The silhouette was bland, the materials looked factory basic, and the overall shape had none of that sharp, edgy attitude that defined the early Answer line. It wasn't bold, it wasn't rebellious, and it definitely wasn't memorable. Joakim Noah was one of the most unique players of his era, a high-energy, high IQ big man who brought heart, hustle, and emotion to every possession. Chicago loved him, teammates fed off him, and his game had this raw, gritty charisma that didn't rely on scoring or flash. So when Lecoq Sportif signed him, there was potential for something different, something bold, maybe even something artistic, given the brand's French roots. But instead of delivering a memorable, creative silhouette, they gave him a sneaker that felt like it was designed for a warehouse shift. The shoe looked more industrial than athletic. The lines were stiff, the shape was flat, and the upper had no flow or personality. It didn't match Noah's scrappy, expressive style. It barely matched the aesthetics of the NBA at all. By 2011, the league was deep into the era of sleek performance models, low tops, lightweight materials, cleaner color blocking, yet Noah was lacing up something that looked like it belonged in a European rec league with limited funding. And I know this is all about the 2000s, but the shoe was so hideous I had to include it, man. But yo, the late 2000s were a strange transitional moment in sneaker culture, a moment where the game was speeding up, the athletes were getting sharper, the fits were getting cleaner, and the entire world was shifting into a new era of style. But a lot of the sneakers hitting the court at the time didn't reflect any of that. It was the decade that burned itself out with all of the wild experiments of the early and mid-2000s. And by the end, brands were scrambling just to keep up. What we got instead were silhouettes that felt lost, outdated, or snuck in between eras with no real identity to call their own. This completes our trilogy. 3 chapters documenting the highs and lows and absolute chaos of 2000 sneaker design. If you grew up in this era, you remember how wild it was. If you didn't, now you know why those highlight tapes always looked a little extra. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned in. And until next video, stay laced up, y'all. We out.